It was unimaginable to everyone. In 2023, Dr. Phil and his lovely wife celebrated 46 years of marriage, which seemed like the epitome of a happy, long-lasting union. But at the age of 74, Dr. Phil has broken the news of the surprising reason for their sudden divorce. So much time has passed, what could have possibly gone wrong? Had problems been simmering under the surface the whole time? Today we will explore their lives in great detail, unraveling the mystery that has been destroying their marriage for decades. Coming from humble beginnings to becoming a household name in American television, Phil McGraw, better known as Dr. Phil, has had an unusual life. Phil McGraw was born to parents Joseph McGraw Jr. and Anne Geraldine Stevens in the Oklahoma town of Veneta in the year 1950. He spent his formative years in North Texas's oil fields where his father supplied equipment as a child. In Oklahoma City, Phil worked his first jobs at an A.W. Root beer stand and a pizzeria named Pizza Planet when he was a teenager. He probably developed a work ethic from his early occupations that would be useful in his life. There were difficulties in Phil's family life. Brenda was the youngest of his three sisters. Deanna and Donna were the elder ones. The family relocated to Kansas when Phil was 13 years old so that his father could fulfill his long-held ambition of becoming a psychologist. Phil went at Overland Park, Kansas's Shawnee Mission North High School. It was at this school that he played linebacker for the football team and realized how much he loved the game. After impressing football coaches Glenn Dobbs and others with his on-field prowess, he received a scholarship to play middle linebacker at the University of Tulsa. Moving to Wichita Falls, Texas's Midwestern State University was a surprising detour for Phil's academic career. He earned a BA in psychology in 1975 after finishing his undergraduate degree at this institution. This was the first step on the road to stardom and fortune that would take him into the area of psychology. Phil continued his study beyond that required by a bachelor's degree. In 1976, he earned an MA in experimental psychology, and in 1979 he earned a PhD in clinical psychology. Both of these master's degrees were earned at what is now the University of North Texas, formerly North Texas State University. Rheumatoid arthritis, a psychological intervention, was the subject of Phil's PhD dissertation, which may have foreshadowed his interest in studying the relationship between mental and physical health. Phil kept going even after finishing his doctorate. To deepen his skills, he spent a year at the Wilmington Institute completing postdoctoral study in forensic psychology. It's interesting to mention that Frank Lawless, a psychologist who would go on to have a major impact on Phil's television career, was his dissertation advisor. Lawless was the main contributing psychologist for the Dr. Phil show. Phil went back to Wichita Falls, Texas, where his dad had set up a private psychological practice after finishing college. Phil began his career as a psychologist when he followed in his father's footsteps and joined the practice. A new endeavor was begun by Phil and his father in 1985. Pathways Seminars was presented in collaboration with Texas businesswoman Thelma Box. Achieving one's goals and living a better life were the intended outcomes of these self-help courses. Phil kept at it for another 6 years before selling his stake in the business for $325,000 in October 1991. In 1990, Phil and attorney Gary Dobbs started a new chapter in Phil's career by co-founding Courtroom Sciences, Inc., so that attorneys could practice their cases in front of virtual judges before the real thing. They would hold mock trials. The purpose of Phil's counsel was to highlight the lawyer's strong points and areas for growth. This foray into trial consulting was a watershed point in Phil's professional journey. He met Oprah Winfrey for the first time through CSI, and that meeting altered the trajectory of his life. A major legal battle was brewing for Oprah Winfrey in 1995. Plaintiffs in the case were cattle ranchers who asserted that her show had slandered the meat sector. In order to be ready for her trial in Amarillo, Texas, Winfrey enlisted the services of CSI. During this period, Phil and Winfrey were quite close, and Winfrey was deeply impressed by his knowledge and skill. In 1998, Winfrey emerged victorious from the trial. And she said that Phil's ascent was a big reason why she was successful. Winfrey requested Phil to be on her show because she was impressed by his charisma and abilities. After his initial presentation was met with such enthusiasm, he quickly became a regular guest, making weekly appearances beginning in April 1998, offering his expertise on relationship and life strategies. Phil shot to fame after making guest appearances on Oprah Winfrey's show. Viewers connected with his no-nonsense approach and useful tips, and he became famous in his own right. Winfrey knew Phil had what it took to be a TV star, so she pushed for him to start his own show. This was sound advice that Phil heeded in September 2002. He started his syndicated daily TV show, Dr. Phil and Petesky Productions. The show was created by Harpo Studios, which is owned by Winfrey. Dr. Phil became a hit right away, further solidifying their professional bond. There is a straightforward structure to the show that works well. Phil gives his guests advice on a broad variety of personal and societal challenges, and the subject matter varies from episode to episode. It was his signature no-nonsense style and memorable expressions like "How's that working for you?" that made him famous. As a result of Dr. Phil's success, his syndication arrangement with King World Productions, Inc. was lucratively extended for another 5 years. The show's production would continue until the 2013 to 2014 television season thanks to this arrangement, which was worth $15 million annually. New heights were attained by Phil's success by 2007. His rising star power and influence led Forbes to place him at number 30 on their Celebrity 100 list. Among the best midday shows on television, his show always came in first, frequently ranked second in viewership, behind only Oprah Winfrey's show. Opportunities arose as a result of Phil's television popularity. He co-founded Stage 29 Productions with his eldest son, Jay McGraw, in 2005. Even though not all of their show ideas were picked up by this production business, they were able to develop them. Phil started advertising a spin-off series named The Doctors in 2008. Emergency Room Dr. Travis Stork, who was also an executive producer on the show, presented it from 2008 to 2022. Daytime Emmy winner for Best Instructive Talk Show in 2010 was The Doctors, proving the show's popularity on its own. The production firm that Phil and Jay founded continued to crank out hit shows. Along with other experts in the field, they served as executive producers of Daily Mail TV, which took up the Daytime Emmy for Best News Program in 2019. House Calls with Dr. Phil, Phil's foray into reality television, premiered in 2021. Phil would pay house calls to families and give them tips on how to improve their home lives on this show. Even though there were just 6 episodes, Phil's eagerness to try new things and connect with viewers in new ways was on full display in this series. Phil has been the target of both admirers and detractors throughout his career. His straightforwardness and practicality have been praised by several. However, others have questioned his methodology and the ethics of providing television-based psychiatric advice. Phil has remained a powerful personality in American media and has a large fan base despite the scandals. Phil's resume is full with accomplishments outside of the workplace as well. A major factor in his path has been his private life, especially his marriages. Let us take a moment to remember the women who have been Phil's wives. At the tender age of 21, McGraw wed Debbie Higgins McCall in 1970. A glimpse into McGraw's life as a young man in Kansas, still finding his place in the world, is provided by this union, which occurred long before his ascent to stardom. A lot of young couples in the 70s got married, including McGraw and McCall. They choose to continue their relationship after being sweethearts in high school. At the time, McGraw was still a student, working towards his future career in psychology. But as is common with early marriages, McGraw and McCall's relationship encountered many difficulties. Traditional gender norms, as McCall describes them in her memoirs, were prevalent during their marriage but are now seen as archaic. McCall said that during their marriage, McGraw was quite controlling, creating an image of an imbalanced relationship dynamic. She insisted that McGraw was free to pursue his academic and professional goals while she was expected to stay at home and take care of the house. Although this kind of assignment was typical at the time, it made McCall feel stifled and dissatisfied. As McCall recounts, one of the most peculiar features of their relationship was McGraw's determination that she start a weightlifting program to improve her physical features, especially her bust line. It appears from this request that McGraw had an early interest in image and physical appearance, which would subsequently be recurrent themes in his television career, even though he was rather young. Notably, according to McCall's recollections, she was not allowed to engage in the family business. Their marital discontent may have been exacerbated by their absence from professional life, which served to reinforce traditional gender norms. Fault lines started to show as their marriage developed. McCall later asserted that her partner's adultery contributed to their breakup. Although the details of this alleged adultery were kept under wraps, it is evident that trust concerns played a major role in their relationship's demise. Divorce was the swift conclusion to McGraw and McCall's brief marriage. It is highly probable that McGraw's early marriage and subsequent divorce greatly impacted his perspective on relationships, which in turn may have shaped his subsequent work as a relationship counselor on television. The information of McGraw's first marriage is mainly derived from McCall's account, which was provided at a later date. Everyone has an opinion on every relationship, but McGraw has stayed mum on this part of his life. In McGraw's personal life, a turning point came with the collapse of her first marriage. We assume that this was the turning point in his relationship with Robin, whom he eventually married, and that they would go on to establish a solid reputation as a married couple. A linchpin of Dr. Phil's life for nearly half a century has been his second marriage to Robin Jo Jameson, which started in 1976. Even for individuals regarded as authorities in the subject, the complexity of long-term partnerships has been illuminated by the latest discoveries of their possible split. It was not an easy decision for Dr. Phil to divorce Robin, as he has admitted. He stressed that their breakup was due to incongruous changes in priorities brought about by their changing wants and aspirations in life. To get a better grasp of the situation, it helps to examine the relationship from both perspectives and think about how, even in long-term partnerships, individual development can cause pathways to diverge. Robin McGraw, formerly known as Robin Jo Jameson, has served in several capacities beyond those of Dr. Phil's wife. She is well known for her work as a podcast host, best-selling book, and Together with a Selfless Grandma. Her time spent working with Dr. Phil has been filled with mutual encouragement and triumph, but it has also been an opportunity for personal development and advancement. Robin first met Phil via Brenda, who is Phil's sister. This is how their story begins. Their initial meeting didn't bode well. Not feeling well, Phil wasn't exactly a gregarious person. But after hours of conversation, they went on their first date the following night, which established the tone for the rest of their relationship. Phil, who got his pilot's license when he was 16 years old, flew Robin up in an airplane. Afterwards, Robin reflected on how she felt safe and protected in his company, how he exuded an air of authority and confidence. Phil proposed on Valentine's Day in 1976, marking the end of their brief courtship. They tied the knot barely 6 months after that, starting a union that would endure for nearly half a century. Dr. Phil's professional life has been graced by Robin's unwavering presence throughout their marriage. She was a regular at all 21 tapings of his show, during which she frequently filled in as a co-host and gave guests advice from the crowd. But being a supportive wife is just one of Robin's many roles. She is now well known for her work as a novelist. Upon its 2007 publication, her debut novel, Inside My Heart: Choosing to Live with Passion and Purpose, became a top-selling book in the city. With the hope of encouraging other women to pursue their dreams, she wrote this book drawing on experiences in her own marriage and life. She continued to write after this triumph, penning novels like Christmas in My Home and Heart and What's Age Got to Do with It? Living Your Happiest and Healthiest Life. Joining her literary career, Robin also conducts a weekly podcast. On it, she talks to famous people and professionals while also sharing stories from her life as a parent, entrepreneur, and TV star. Her past guests have featured a wide variety of celebrities, including Nick Viall, Daphne Oz, Andy Grammer, Rachel Bilson, and TV anchor Daphne Oz. Thanks to this enterprise, Robin is no longer shrouded in Dr. Phil's glare and has her own platform to share her insights and experiences. Professionally, the McGraws have worked together outside of Dr. Phil as well. Merit Street Media was co-founded by them in April of 2024. It is a leading multi-platform destination that provides critical television programs. Their media empire is growing beyond the typical talk show style with this initiative, which includes series like Dr. Phil Primetime, Dr. Phil True Crime, and Dr. Phil Wake Up. Robin and Dr. Phil have maintained a united front throughout their marriage, frequently praising the quality of their bond. Robin explained the couple's marriage philosophy in an interview they gave to People in 2016. While many claim 50-50, my partner and I are of the opinion that it is 100s. So we both put our attention on the marriage and made sure we were prepared before we tied the knot. We honed in on each other's requirements and continue to do so now. Maintaining closeness and intimacy in their relationship is something they have also spoken openly about. Robin has revealed that they take delight in domestic activities like as cuddling in the den, watching endless episodes of TV, and just hanging out. It appears that these breaks were essential for them to maintain a healthy balance between their public and private lives. The McGraws are the doting grandparents of 4 grandkids, and they have 2 sons, Jay and Jordan, from their marriage. Robin and Dr. Phil have always placed a premium on family, and they frequently discuss the blessings of being a parent or grandparent. Given this history of what seemed like a healthy and lasting union, many are surprised by Dr. Phil's recent remarks regarding their split as a result of changing priorities in their lives. Considering the normal development of long-term partnerships and individual evolution can help us grasp his possible meaning of these growing personal requirements. It is normal for people's aspirations, principles, and requirements to change as they grow older and go through life's various stages. Considering Dr. Phil has been a public figure for decades giving people advice, he may have wanted to take a break or concentrate on something else. His professional life underwent a sea change when the Dr. Phil program ended after 21 years, which may have caused him to reevaluate his personal aspirations as well. In a similar vein, Robin's breakthrough as a podcast host and author may have sparked fresh aspirations for her own happiness. She may have discovered new interests or goals she wants to pursue on her own now that her public profile is distinct from that of Dr. Phil's wife. One interpretation of Merit Street Media's debut is that it reflects evolving priorities and demands. There may have been disparities in their future goals brought to light by the opportunities and challenges presented by this new endeavor, which signifies a change in their professional emphasis. Also, it's important to remember that their responsibilities within the family have evolved as their children have grown up and entered grandparenthood. This change might cause couples to reconsider their relationship and their own needs, particularly if one partner has spent a long time defining themselves mostly in terms of parenthood. The fact that their relationship is public knowledge is another consideration. There is a lot of strain on marriages when one partner is constantly in the spotlight. The McGraws may have felt the strain of continual scrutiny and the necessity to maintain a united face, despite the fact that they have apparently managed this pressure admirably for decades. In their twilight years, they may long for seclusion or seek a new form of personal satisfaction that is hard to accomplish while maintaining their public character. In addition, Dr. Phil's work as a relationship and personal growth counselor may have made him more self-aware of his own relationship dynamics. Perhaps the experiences he has had assisting others with their own struggles have made him reflect on his own life and what he needs. Changes in one's own requirements may not always indicate a lack of positivity or harmony. Sometimes all it takes is for 2 people to develop apart while still loving and respecting each other deeply. Rather than viewing their decision to part as a sign of relationship failure, it could be viewed as a mature acknowledgement of these changes. Since the beginning, Dr. Phil has stressed the importance of open dialogue and introspection in romantic partnerships. From this perspective, it's possible to see his choice to recognize and respond to evolving demands as an extension of the values he has advocated for all his professional life. We learn that even long-term relationships necessitate continual effort, communication, and even tough choices as the McGraws traverse this new phase of their lives. The general public may be taken aback by this development, but they must keep in mind that the lives of famous figures are often portrayed in a superficial light. Although the world has seen a lot of the McGraw's journey, the couple still has their own private challenges and issues that no one knows about. In your opinion, are they really divorcing? Post your thoughts down below and tell us what you think. When you're done watching, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date.